All right. This is your creation. My name is Starseed Bey. Um, I was wanting to make some kind of video today, and I was thinking, I was like, you know what, man? Since I'm doing research, why not go ahead and experience the research with me? So, what I've been really fascinated, not only with time, and I talked about this earlier on Facebook, was the essence of time and how you manage your time, how you manage on how you handle your life, handle your business, and things of that nature. But also another thing that I've been researching too a lot is the stars in the sky, and that's what's really fascinating about me is because um, what are the stars? The stars beings. In the Testament of Solomon, it really goes into full detail on what these beings do or um, how they influence humanity, right? Influence humanity in some way, shape, or form, whether it be through desires, your will, your intent, despair, feeding on your shadow self, of just bringing you down and things of that nature, just controlling humanity and the energy that flows through it, right? The energy that flows through it. Let's see. Hey, if anybody's watching this, let me know how the video quality is on this live stream because it's saying I got low video quality. So if anybody's there, let me know. But yeah, so yeah, with stars, it's so fascinating to me on, just looking at them and just observing, that they're not what I remember. I've talked about this many times before with stars, is that there's just something about them, and I could just keep talking on and on about them. But yeah, there's just something that always has captivated me about the night sky and just the stars and the planets. And I was watching a YouTuber called let's see, Jacob Israel. He's awesome, man. But I didn't realize that the big orange planet that's out there is Mars, and I guess Mars is the closest to the Earth where you can see it without a telescope. So that's that big orange ball of light in the sky, which is pretty cool. But the interesting thing was when I was watching it is that I guess in 2003 it showed up the same way it is now, but it had been like 6,000 years. At least that was recorded, right? Well, it's only been 16 years since 2003. Plus we got Blood Moon, I guess, this month as well. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the sky, and it's so fascinating to me and all these signs in the skies. What does it mean? What does it represent to us? And why are we so captivated with the sky? And that's if you're paying attention. I mean, a lot of people don't pay attention to what nature is doing or what on what's happening in the sky. People don't pay attention to the clouds. They don't pay attention to, the chemtrails or, just weird stuff going on in the sky, right? And hey, thank you. Heart of David says, okay. So awesome. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in the day sky, and I've seen many bizarre things too, from clouds staying in one position forever, while all these other clouds are just moving past it. It's bizarre. But the night sky definitely, there's something about it, it's something that really, to me, is really like a spiritual experience, just kind of like, the spirits are awake. I don't know, you feel more connected. And I've said this before, it's just kind of like the daylight you manifest, you see your manifestation and creativity blossom in the daytime, but at night you sit down and you reflect on what you created. You do your self-reflection during the night. You look at your shadow self, you look at what you experience and things of that nature. And to me, there really is a personal experience in the nighttime. I mean, just like like right now, I've been playing around with the lighting in the background, and I couldn't really get a nice lighting because I had the sun shining through my curtain back here. But now it's getting nighttime, and now, wow, now my lighting looks great. But but yeah, it just it represents a lot of things, and even the atmosphere has changed before I went live on this video. It gives you a whole personal level that everybody should be in tune with. And I know I'm kind of getting off track here, but as a whole, I mean, you really have to pinpoint where these energies are coming from, and the mood changes and mood shifts on the energy. Some of the best creativity that I have is during the nighttime, because I really do a lot of self-reflection and learning and things like that. Because during the daytime, I'm at work and stuff, and things are just constantly on the move, and just going by so fast. You have ideas and everything like that, but you have to look at the ideas later. And then you come home, like myself, I gotta take care of my wife and kids and fix dinner and figure out what next video I want to make, what I need to research, and and I like to watch other people as well. There's people I like to watch and learn, just like I was doing here a little bit ago. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about, and that's what I focused on. Was time has been a really big thing, and the stars in the sky, astrology. So I looked it up, and there's something about Ezekiel, talking about the chariots in the sky, right? So we're gonna go ahead and look at that and kind of see what unfolds within the scriptures. And it's real nice. Like I said, it's so nice you can just do research and get answers real quick, whether it be through scriptures or somebody else's views or opinions. It's like myself. Let's see here. Yeah, there's some other stuff I want to talk about, but I was just kind of at a blank. And it happens. So the vision of the chariots, and this is what I was reading. So this is Ezekiel 1. So the vision of the chariots. In the 13th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month. Interesting. As I was among the exiles by the river of Chebar, the heavens were open, and I saw visions of God, or the Elohim. Visions of the Elohim. On the 5th day of the month, it was the 5th year of the exile of kings Jehoiachin. I have no idea. The word of the Almighty came to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzai, in the land of Chaldeans by the river of Chebar. I know I'm messing those words up. And the hand of the Almighty was upon him there. As I looked, behold, a stormy wind came out of the north, and a great cloud with brightness round about it, and fire flashing forth continually. And in the midst of the fire, as it were, glooming bronze, and from the midst of it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this is in Ezekiel. And it's talked about in Revelations 2 about the 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the form of men, but each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of a calf's foot. And they sparkled like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands, and the 4 had their faces and their wings thus. Their wings touched one another, they went every one straight forward, without turning as they went. As for the likeness of their faces, each had the face of a man in front. The four had the face of a lion on the right side. The four had the face of an ox on the left side, and the four had the face of an eagle at the back. Such were their faces, and their wings were spread out above. Each creature had 2 wings, each of which touched the wing of another, while 2 covered their bodies, and each went straight forward. Wherever the Spirit would go, they went, without turning as they went. In the midst of the living creatures there was something that looked like burning coals of fire, like torches moving to and fro among the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, and the living creatures darted to and fro like a flash of lightning. Now as I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel upon the earth. Beside the living... What? Now as I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel upon the earth. Okay, upon the earth. So it would be basically we're looking at the earth. That's interesting. I saw a wheel upon the earth beside the living creatures. One for each of the 4 of them, which could represent the 4 seasons. As for the appearance of the wheels and their construction, their appearance was like the gleaming of a... I have no idea what that word is. I have no idea. Chrysolite. Hold on. Let me see what this is real quick. Like I said, me and words I don't know. Not going to be able to read them. Alright, let me look this up real quick and see. But that's why I love doing research, because there's just so much you can learn. Let's see. Actually, it might be its own word. See if there's a definition for it. Oh, gotcha. So, chrysolite, it just means it's a yellowish green or brownish variety of olivine used as a gemstone. And that's an interesting thing too, is that they talk about a lot about these gemstones and crystals and things of that nature in the Bible, and you have to look this stuff up. Just like with this chrysolite, I didn't know what it was, you know, but it's a gemstone of some kind. So interesting. So, and that's where it says their appearance was like that of glimmering of a gemstone, or a crystal. They were crystal in nature. And the 4 had the same likeness, their construction being as it were a wheel within a wheel. When they went in any of their 4 directions, without turning as they went. The 4 wheels had rims as they had spokes, and their rims were full of eyes round about. And this just comes to me too. They always talk about eyes, that they're full of eyes, right? So, maybe since and like I said, they're looking at the earth. They're looking at the earth, so they're in space. And maybe all these eyes are the stars. All the stars that we see in the sky are the eyes. The eyes of the angels, the eyes of the spirits, or the eyes of us. Man, that's interesting. That's interesting. So yeah, the eyes could be representation of the stars. Let's see, and their rims are full of eyes round and about. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. And when the living creatures rose from the earth, the wheels rose. And that would talk about, like it talked about, we got the 4 creatures, the 4 seasons. And it's the same flow with like the sun and the moon. The sun rises and sets, right? And it's just like a wheel turning. The sun rises, then the moon rises, so on and so forth. So then you would see the stars in the sky, and things would just constantly move. You know, they wouldn't look back because it's just a constant cycle. It's a will of time, a will of seasons. Awesome, man. All right, let's see here. And when the living creatures went, the wills went beside them. And when the living creatures rose from the earth, the wills rose. Wherever the spirits would go, they went, and the wills rose along with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wills. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood, and when those rose from the earth, the wheels rose along with them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Oh man. And that can also be like the firmament, or the dome. I talked about this too. You know, it talks about the firmament, right? The water between waters, as above, so below, right? So you know, God created the waters in the firmament, and you can read about the firmament. And you know, like I said, you know, I strongly feel, you know, that this earth has a dome around it. I'm not talking about flat earth, but I'm just saying that, you know, that it's a dome. It's a dome, and it makes sense because, I mean, you know, what creates the blue sky, right? It's a reflection. And what causes reflections? Reflections are caused by mirrors, um, anything that is going to bounce light off of it. And because, I mean, it isn't the universe, right? It isn't the universe because we see the sky. The sky is dark. So that color has to come from somewhere, right? It has to come from somewhere. It would have to be a dome of some kind. And that is fascinating. Wow. For a spiritual creature was in the will. See, and that's what I was saying. So that would mean that the spirit of the living creatures was in the will, so within the firmament. So that would be the stars. That would be the stars as well as the sun and the moon. Okay, the sun and the moon. I've talked about this before too. And you do research on this, is that there's two suns. Okay, we got the universal sun that keeps things aligned, right? But we have on each planet, not just Earth, but on each planet, it has its own sun, its own ecosystem, right? Because it has to flourish. It has to have its own ecosystem, right? It has to maintain its own environment, you know, and that's where its own sun would come in because that would be its own environment. The reflection, just like I said, the reflection, the sky. It's a reflection. So where would this reflection of the sun come from? Because it's not it's not from the universe, man, because you do research on how far away the sun is from the earth, you can't see it, man. You can't see it. It's not there. You only look at it in a telescope. But the earth's sun is a reflection from inside the earth because the earth has its own sun. And this is where a lot of different factors, again, they're theories, they're out there, but you know, you put the pieces of the puzzle together and you really start to see a pattern, you know, and that, you know, many people say there's a hollow earth, right? That there's a big hole. I want to say the South Pole. I could be wrong, but it's going to go into what my theory is. Like I said, I really focus a lot on Antarctica. There's a lot of stuff about Antarctica. So if you take away the globe aspect, not the dome aspect, but the globe aspect, and you have the North Pole and the South Pole, whatever. But you shrink down the South Pole, right? And narrow it down to the center of the earth. But I got another theory about that as well. But you just narrow it down as the South Pole being the center of the earth and the North Pole being the ice surrounding the barriers, right? Surrounding the earth or surrounding the dome. And it makes sense because, I mean, you know, it's cold, right? Space is cold. You know, we've been told space is cold. And so that would make total sense to have ice all around the earth. But but Antarctica be in the center. And if it's the center, then that would mean the sun would shine from the center. The only downside is how would it move? How would it rotate? So, I don't know if the sun would really be in the center of the earth or not. Maybe it's, maybe the sun is with the stars, or within the firmament. Maybe it's just kind of a repeated nature. I don't know. I don't know. Right? I don't know. But there's so many different theories that you can look at. And just even looking at science, some of the science, it just doesn't make any sense. Because again, the sun is so far away, millions and millions of miles away. There's no way that we could see the sun. There isn't. There isn't. So, there's something there. Again, they're theories, but they're very fascinating ones as well. So yeah, looks like this is heading towards the end of this. Where was I at, dude? Alright, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Over the heads of the living creatures there was the likeness of a firmament. Oh, see, this talks about the firmament right there. Over the heads of the living creatures there was a likeness of a firmament, shining like crystal, spread out above their heads. And under the firmament their wings were stretched out straight, one towards another, and each creature had 2 wings covering its body. And when they went, I heard the sound of their wings like the sound of many waters, like the thunder of the Almighty, a sound of tumult like the sound of a host. When they stood still, they let down their wings, and there came a voice from above the firmament over their heads. When they stood still, they let down their wings. What? Interesting. And above the firmament over their heads there was the likeness of a throne, in appearance like sapphire. Again, like I said, they talk about gemstones and stuff. In appearance like sapphire. And seated above the likeness of a throne was a likeness, as it were, of a human form. And upward from what had the appearance of his loins I saw as it were gleaming bronze, like the appearance of fire enclosed round about, and downward from what had the appearance of his loins. Okay. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and there was brightness round about him, like the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud on the day of rain. Oh, like the appearance of the bow, like is in the cloud on the day of rain. That would be the rainbow. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. So was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Almighty. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard the voice of one speaking. Holy moly, man. That is powerful stuff. I haven't read Ezekiel in a long time, man. And wow, that's crazy. And you could go in a lot more detail into that. But see, it talks about the firmament after I was just talking about the firmament. So, yeah, wow. Man, that opens a lot of doorways, and it makes me wonder about, what's the, what would the wings represent, right? What would the wings represent? Because, I mean, some of the stuff, they're talking about the constellations in the sky. We got like a bear, you got the man with the bow, all these star constellations in the sky. And and even with this one being here with about his loins, well, you do research on oh, who was it? Kronos, I believe. I think it was Kronos. It talked about him getting castrated, right? And it's the same way, the appearance of his loins. There's many different things right there. But yeah, I mean, that right there alone tells you, that there's something we need to pay attention to with the seasons. And, with the stars in the sky. Well, that's powerful. That really astonishes me right there, man. It really does. So, oh, hey, hi, Talia. I don't have the chat up, so I just kind of been popping here and there. But hey, how are you? Oh wow. All right. So Talia says, "How ironic you are talking about the stars. I just had two dreams about stars that was very spiritual." Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, definitely, share your story in the chat. That's awesome. But a lot of people are really having this this feeling of attachment to stars. I mentioned this in a chat I was in with some friends, um, and I was mentioning, that when you go out in the sky or in the night sky and you look at the stars, you can feel stars. You can feel a connection with certain stars. Like literally, like when I go out, there's certain stars that really catches my eye, and that's the Dipper. Which I mean, it's pretty easy to see, but I always am drawn to the Dipper, and as well as Orion's belt, right? Orion, the Pleiadians, right? Always fascinated about that one. And the other one that I always see that always fascinates me just because of the appearance of it from the naked eye is I don't know the constellation's name, but they're known as the seven angels or the seven sisters. So if you guys know more about astrology than I do, it's the seven sisters. I guess I could look that up. But that one always draws me in too, is the seven sisters in the sky. And the reason why it does is because I swear they move and dance in the sky, and they really have like this really uh, blur effect. It's really fascinating, really interesting. But let's find out what's called the Seven Sisters. Let's see here. Oh, well, look at that, man. That's the Pleiades. So, the Seven Sisters is attached to the Pleiades. So, I was wrong on that one. So, Orion is separate from the Pleiades. So, the Seven Sisters is the Pleiades. And that one, that always draws me too, draws my attention as well. Let's see what we got here. It's an open star cluster containing middle-aged hot beat whatever, blah 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 blah. It's a constellation with Taurus, and this is where you really start to do research on things, is you begin to look at astrology. And again, that's why it's so important to do research. You do research on stuff and it just really starts to play a story out. Let's see, it is among the nearest star clusters to Earth and is the cluster most obvious in the naked eye. What's like said, you can see it. Cluster is dominated by blue and luminous stars. A faint reflection around the brightest star was thought at first to be left over from the formation of the cluster, but is now likely an unrelated foreground dust cloud. Unrelated foreground dust cloud. And that's what I love about research, is that when science is like, oh hey, we know what's going on, boom, then things change and they find out something else through which the stars are currently passing. Blah blah blah. Let's see, the name of the Pleiadians came from the ancient Greek. So Pleiadians is a Greek word. It probably derives from blah blah blah. However, in mythology, the name was used for the Pleiadians' seven divine sisters, the name supposedly deriving from that of their mother, Pleiwan, and I don't know how to say that, and effectively meaning daughters of Pleion. See, so there you open that up, and you do research on that character. And, when things say mythology, that's really where you want to start doing your research, because that really starts to get to the root word. Because, like I said, the Pleiades is a Greek word, so that would be a later date, a later representation. So you want to really start to look into like the mythology aspect to really kind of see what our ancestors saw, right? Because I mean, our ancestors saw a lot of stuff, and it was so weird to think of, and how they had to present what they were seeing. They had to create new words. We got new words now. I mean, in 1,000 years, or not 1,000 years. Well, it could be 1,000 years. I guess it depends on the Earth. But I mean, are they gonna know what Facebook is? Are they gonna know what YouTube is? Are they gonna know some of the modern words that we use now? Life will be different, right? All they'll have is just books of going, well, what the heck was a Facebook? Was it a god or what? You never know. You never know. In reality, the name of the star clusters almost certainly came first, and Pleion was invented to explain it. So, and then that would be, a representation of creating stories. I mean, people didn't have TV or nothing back then, so why not generate a story for the children, right? To explain the sky, the stars in the sky. Just give everything a story. Create that warrior within you. Determination. Hey, this star constellation was about a brave warrior who overcame the bear, and just things like that. And it's so very fascinating, on just how our ancestors handled things, and there's a lot of very simple ways of looking at this stuff, but there's definitely there's more to it. There definitely is. I mean, everything is a creation. It's like I always say at the beginning of my video, this is your creation, because this is your creation, because you are manifesting and self-creating your thoughts and ideas of what this stuff could be. This is going to further allow you to explore into new territories, and learn more about yourself, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about, is learning more about self, learning more about what surrounds us. It's no denying, we're being lied to about a lot of things, science and NASA. They're not giving us the whole story about what's going on in outer space. And then, they talk about, the Space Force and all that stuff now. So that tells me that, something's about to go on. We're really going to start learning more about the true nature of this planet, and the firmament and the stars and the planets and our origin. All this stuff is going to be revealed to us, and it's, a lot of it can be theories and what ifs, but I mean, you really just focus on what's being focused on right now, is the stars. Why do the stars look different now compared to when I was a kid, right? Stars look different, planets look different. The moon's not the moon that I saw when I was a kid. That moon, there's something different about that too. Could be timelines. Again, I've talked about timelines before. If you guys ain't familiar with timelines, basically, you can look at many different factors of what timelines could be. To me, I feel it's a thought process. So say you come up with an idea or a what if, or hey, if I do this, it manifests a reality. So that thought generated a whole timeline structure, and it plays out, right? So you may choose one idea, but since you chose 4 ideas, you just manifested 4 Earths, or planets, right? That that played out those ideas. So to me, that's timelines, and that's where you just kind of narrow it down. That if we're jumping timelines, and that's where the Mandela effect could come in. There's definitely many different theories on that as well. But I mean, if you're raising your vibration and your frequency and vibration changes, since we're energy synergy, everything is going to change and shift with it. So that could be new exploration, seeing new things, that may not have been there before because your vibration changed. And they say, the higher your vibration goes, the thinner the veil gets. So you begin to see things that you didn't see before. And again, it brings up another fascinating thing, is that, are we creating and generating these thought patterns and ideas, and because we're thinking them, they're manifesting before our eyes because of veil's thinning? I don't know. I don't know. There's so many things. It's uncanny, man. It really is. Delea says the Pleiades. Was that the dreams you had of the stars was the Pleiades, or? But yeah, so very interesting, very interesting. I'm probably gonna have to cut it short here because I gotta go to bed. But yeah, very fascinating. I didn't really expect this video to turn out like it did. So yeah, so interesting. So yeah, there's definitely, the Bible talks about the firmament, and I was reading something too, it talks about the shape of the earth in there too. So I gotta do some more research and see if I can find some scriptures that surround on how the earth looks. But again, like I said, in Ezekiel, that character in Ezekiel was teleported. Let me see if it was Ezekiel that was there. So yeah, it might be Ezekiel. I don't know. I think it was Ezekiel. But like I said, Ezekiel was taken off the earth, or at least descended above the earth, and was able to see the earth for what it was. And man, it's just bizarre. It's bizarre. But yeah, I definitely want to see if I can find some more scriptures that kind of pinpoint that. I mean, there's no denying too, a lot of this stuff they're talking about is talking about crafts or ships of some kind as well. It's all over the Bible. I mean, come on, man. Flying cloud that watches day and night, that keeps the darkness lit, right? It's, there's something going on. I mean, is it a ship? Is it a star or stars? I don't know. And then we got Mars out there right now. And it's just a big orange ball out there. I'm glad I read that because I've been wondering what that was out there. Right? There's so many mysteries out there. Yeah, it's uncanny. But the real fascinating thing to me about Mars right now, if that is Mars, right? Why it's so bright, fascinates me because I think it was Nostradamus. I think it was Nostradamus or somebody who created the telescope or something like that. It might have been somebody else. Said that Mars was bright. It just was so very bright. Like creatures were living there, right? And like I said, I don't trust NASA. I don't trust stuff that we have never explored into, man, because like I said, we have the firmament. There's a fact there. The world is surrounded by firmament. And it would be a dome, right? It would be a dome. And again, I've talked about this too, is that maybe the space is water, right? Space is water, so we would be in like like a submarine, right? Or just we're just floating in space or floating in water. So we couldn't break that dome because then water would come in, right? The Great Flood, right? Noah's flood. So maybe there was a crack in the firmament, and then all the water just whoosh, came down. I don't know. But I strongly, I really feel that you can't leave that dome. You cannot leave Earth, at least through the sky. You can't leave Earth, right? You cannot leave Earth. But like I said, you do research and you can notice that all the UFOs and spacecraft, Antarctica, things like that, you always see crafts coming in and out of the water. And there's many different things about, like underground caverns and, underground bases. Everything happens underground. And you got underground, you got underwater. Everything happens under there. And then there's also the portals and gateways. Mount Shasta even talks about, there's things about Mount Shasta that you can go underground. You go in the earth, the hollow earth. Our ancestors have left maps about the hollow earth. And maybe, they even brings up the story of oh crap, what is his name? Anubis? I think it's Anubis. Basically it's I'd have to look this up. That's not ringing a bell to me at all. But it's just the character that allows beings to pass through. They call it the underworld, and whatnot. But there's something. It's underground. I really feel that there's a lot of stuff in the sky we're gonna learn about, but I really feel that the underground is going to be where the true story is going to be revealed eventually. Like I said, Antarctica is huge, and as it melts over there, man, I mean, we got pyramids showing up all over the place in Antarctica now. Pyramids, structures. People have said that the Garden of Eden is in Antarctica, right? And that would make sense too. Like I said, you make the South Pole the center of the Earth, and then a big old tree, right? Big old tree. It could be that. But the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve is symbolic too of knowledge. And the thing that fascinates me about that, I gotta get out of here, but the thing that fascinates me about that story of Adam and Eve is that it talks about that, that Almighty or God doesn't want them to eat from the tree of knowledge and wisdom, right? Doesn't want you to eat from the knowledge and truth. Oh, blah 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 blah. From the, you know what I'm talking about. I'm getting all tongue twisted here. But why would a God, right? Why would Elohim keep us away from learning about knowledge and wisdom? It could be symbolic of, maybe because we gain knowledge and wisdom, it turns into an ego point of view of, hey, it could be a false knowledge and wisdom, I guess. It could be also a representation of knowledge and wisdom can be a self-awareness, and I've talked about that too, is, we become self-aware of our being, and we look outside this matrix structure. We're born into programs, and I've talked about this before. We are born into programs. We're fed this stuff. And we're taught to be of the world, but we don't want to be of the world, right? That's what Christ said. Don't follow the ways of the world. Stay focused within and learn about the Spirit. Things like that. So yeah, so I'm starting to ramble on now. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and leave it on that. So yeah, so there's definitely something very fascinating about the stars, our connections, and again, it talks about it in the Bible as well. So it's quite fascinating. So I'll be doing a lot more research on this stuff. See what I can find, again, doing research on mythology and star origins, and I'm hoping that I'll begin to actually read maybe different perceptions and viewpoints on the kind of energy people feel with astrology, with the star constellations, the kind of energy that people focus on. And again, I brought this up back in 2010 or 2011. Yeah, 2010. I heard a lot of people during the movement of 2010 of that we need to attach ourselves to a star. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I'm really seeing a pattern of some kind. maybe those stars are us. I don't know. I don't know. I could definitely go on a whole story about that one as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it on this. So yeah, so love yourself, keep shining bright, and man, Talia keeps answering my questions, and then I leave the chat room. Let's see. She says, she just said Pleiades, but she said no. I was answering your QT about who the seven sisters were. Oh, gotcha. So she answered my own question. Also, I did dream of the Pleiadians. They assisted me during a mystical dream. Awesome. Let's see, I agree with you. I don't think you can leave Earth. Space is the astral world. One can't go through it unless you're a spirit. Very true. And that brings up an interesting thing. I had so many bizarre dreams when I was a kid, but I really feel that a lot of the dreams that I had when I was a kid, man, I can make a video about all the dreams that I had. Uh, but there was a dream that really stuck out to me, and that was me and my sister were packing up, right? Because we were getting ready to go into heaven, right? So I don't know why we were packing up stuff, but we were getting suitcases, baggage, right? That could be the baggage of Earth, um, you know, or just our soul matrix in general. And I've talked about that too. Is that we're a soul matrix, we're attached to a soul matrix, we're collecting data, and then once we leave this vessel, the data we received and shared through the energy waves of this planet carries on in that soul matrix, and then you move on to the next life for the soul matrix to continue to learn and grow. And again, that could be a whole other video as well. But anyways, we ended up going way. We just started floating in the sky. I mean, that's pretty much was it. Is that it was time to go, and all me and my sister and tons of other people were all floating in the sky, and we went above the Earth's atmosphere, and then we went into we went to the universe, surrounded by stars, the black sky, the universe, right? And we just kept going, and we ended up on a bridge. Um, and and during that time, I was like, oh man, I forgot something, and I need to go back down to Earth. And that was interesting too, because that could definitely be a representation of, oh hey, great, it's awesome to go back into becoming one, right? Becoming one with the Almighty, or becoming one with God or the universe, whatever representation that dream was telling me. But I decided to go back down because I forgot something, right? I forgot something. So, maybe we have the choice of, oh, hey, there's more stuff that I can do to learn, maybe for the soul matrix, or that I can do to change the matrix of the earth. Um, it's about willpower and choice. Um, but yeah, it was a very fascinating dream, and that dream always stuck out with me. It still does, and I've had many dreams about being in the universe, and there's always some kind of bridge um, that I'm on with other people up there. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. So yeah, again, I'm rambling again. So yeah, yeah, maybe I'll just start talking about my dreams and go from there, because yeah, dreams are very fascinating as well. They teach us a lot about ourselves as well, about dreams, about what we're supposed to do in this reality, what our job really is here, and different things like that. Man, I could keep talking forever, but I had a lot of dreams of uh, shadow beings and perceived evil entities in my dreams as well. Just kind of paving the way of what I would be experiencing later on, right? And because what with all those experiences of those dreams and the encounters I've had, from a spiritual standpoint and everything, just really kind of lays a foundation for experience, and you can't talk about stuff unless you've experienced stuff. So yeah, so very fascinating stuff. Yeah. So Talea says, the bridge is the mind's perspective of traveling from your place to another, like a portal or gate as well. And it's funny you say that, because I was going to say that too, because when you're on that bridge, you always see that gateway, right? You always see that gateway or portal, and it goes into another form of reality. And I talked about that too. So when you're like in dream time and you become self-aware that you're dreaming, right? You become self-aware you're dreaming. Uh, you go, at least I do. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm dreaming. And then I start exploring the dream, right? But 5 different times I came across this portal, this gateway that I saw when I became self aware. And I really wanted to go through it, but I also wanted to explore my dreams. And I fell for the distraction aspect. Oh, hey, I'm, I can go explore the stream and see what's going on. But I really should have went to that gateway. But um, I'm kind of scared to go through that gateway because I don't know what's on the other side, and what could happen if I go through there, right? So definitely. There's something about portals and gateways, and I'm really fascinated. I'm definitely, next time when I become self-aware in my dreams, I definitely want to try to get into that portal, or at least fly to that portal. Hopefully I don't get distracted. Man, once you become self-aware, there's something that within the matrix or the dreams that go, hey, he's becoming self-aware. We gotta distract him to keep him away from what's going on. So yeah. So anyways, I'm still rambling on here. So yeah. So I'll go ahead and leave it at that. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Just realize that there is just a lot more to life than what it appears to be. Right. It's no lie that we've been lied to. There's a lot of things that we're learning that just doesn't add up with science. It doesn't add up with what we've been taught in school. Just a lot of things are starting adding up, and just more and more things are being revealed. More and more mysterious stuff is being revealed. Like I said, Space Force, man, that's a whole different ball game right there. Um, bizarre, bizarre, bizarre. So yeah, so research is key. Um, and just continue to research. Don't take my word. Don't take my word for it on what I talk about. All I'm doing is just giving you guys hints and tips and what to observe and research. I let you guys know where I'm at with my mindset. And, we all learn together. We're here to learn and grow together. And, that's one of the key things is, we work together. We work together as a team. And, we were taught to be divided. We're taught that we're alone. And we're not alone. We've never been alone. We are a race of beings that are meant to work together. We're meant to work together. It's the world that has divided us. But spiritually, we have never been divided. Never been divided. So yeah, so love your stuff. Keep shining bright. I'll talk to you guys later. And thank you guys for joining me in the chat. So awesome. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace. Let's see here. As soon as I get this thing turned off here. Yeah. So I'll talk to you guys later.